your blood work results are here. I wanted to discuss with you.
Oh, great. Everything's good?
Well, not so good, because it seems like you have adrenal fatigue.
Adrenal what?
Welcome to this video. My name is Marvin, and for those of you who don't know me, I've helped more than 200 people optimize their health and performance, including professional athletes and 7- and 8-figure entrepreneurs. And if you're interested in optimize your health and performance, then subscribe to that channel. And today we're going to talk about a specific form of burnout, which is called adrenal fatigue. So if you're working a lot, drinking coffee on a regular basis, if you're exercising a lot, or if you sometimes feel some kind of fatigue, especially in the first waking hours, then make sure you watch this video to the end, because this is going to be really important for you. Because what we're going to cover today is what is adrenal fatigue and how to spot it, how to avoid adrenal fatigue, and how to recover if you already have adrenal fatigue. But first, we have to understand how the body produces energy. So, for example, what happens when we are waking up in the morning? What is the mechanism what makes us alert, what makes us awake? Why we don't continue sleeping? Of course, it can be your alarm, but even if you don't set an alarm, at some point you will wake up. And this is due to the fact that your body starts to produce the hormone so-called cortisol. And the interesting thing is that there's one specific organ in the body which produces cortisol, and these are the adrenals. And cortisol makes us not just awake, but also energize us. It's the same mechanism why, for example, coffee can increase our alertness or energy levels, because caffeine increases cortisol. So now, to get one step further, I want you to imagine this organ like a car. So imagine you were driving a car on the right lane with a medium speed, pretty relaxed. Then the fuel will last really long because the car won't use so much fuel. Now what happens when you push the gas pedal to the fullest and go to the left lane and drive with full speed? Of course, your car will need more fuel, and that means the car will empty faster. Well, luckily, the car at some point will give you some kind of notice and will say, hey, I'm almost empty, please look for a gas station. Unfortunately, the body does the same. He also gives you this signal. And these are symptoms that your adrenals already get fatigued. Now what happens when you just ignore these symptoms and drive full speed on the left lane? Of course, your car will run empty and you have to call the tow truck to get your car out of the highway, and this will take a lot of money and effort. And the same will happen to your body, especially the adrenals. This will cause a so-called adrenal fatigue. Now the question becomes, what are the symptoms of adrenal fatigue? How do we get the signal that our adrenals get exhausted? Well, the first big symptom is this fatigue immediately after wake up. So you wake up in the morning and it takes you a lot of time until you really wake and alert. This can be a symptom. Actually, it should be able for you to, within the first 10 to 15 minutes after wake up, be fully awake and fully alert. So if this is not the case, this is one symptom of adrenal fatigue. Second symptom is belly fat. Of course, belly fat can also be a result of a poor diet, but especially when the fat gets stored in, compared to all the other places in the body, more in the belly, that can be also a symptom of adrenal fatigue or just poor stress management. Because third is a low libido, so low sex drive. This is a huge symptom, and that's why when I receive blood analysis from my clients, it's one of the first thing I have to look is the hormone profile, especially testosterone, because with an adrenal fatigue, most of the time your testosterone levels also drop. This can be also a clear symptom. Fourth symptom is problems with circulation, especially when you're sitting or laying down a period of time. So maybe sometimes you notice that when you sit down or laying down a few minutes and then you stand up immediately, that sometimes it has a feeling that you almost pass out. And the fifth symptom is the desire for salt and salty foods. So if you notice that you want to salt your food, that can be also a symptom, because the adrenals need a lot of salt to function. And when the adrenals get exhausted, the desire of salt gets even more. So there's a really interesting self-test that you can make. You don't need anything but a lighter and a mirror. The first thing that you do is stand in front of the mirror and lighten your eyes. And what usually should happen is that your pupils contract. And then wait 15, 20, maybe 30 seconds and observe what your pupils are doing. If they stay contracted, it's a good sign. It's a healthy sign. If they widen or maybe they do some kind of small movements, this is a really clear sign of adrenal fatigue, especially in one of the latest stages. Now the question becomes how to avoid adrenal fatigue. So pretty straightforward. First thing, control caffeine consumption. Usually it should be able for you to stay awake, stay alert throughout the day without needing numerous coffee. The problem is it's a vicious cycle because this lot of caffeine also exhausts the adrenal. That's why make sure that you don't consume more than 1 to 2 cups of coffee per day. Second tip is eat breakfast every morning, because intermittent fasting, skipping breakfast, especially in combination with lots of caffeine, is the blueprint for getting adrenal fatigue. So make sure you consume breakfast on a daily basis. Third hack is eat more salt. As I told you, the adrenals need a lot of salt to function. And if your day is pretty stressful, when you're an entrepreneur, when you're working a lot, then you simply need more salt. So don't be afraid of salting your food, especially after wake up. That's why I recommend to all of my clients is drinking a big glass of water, pinch of Himalayan salt to make sure your adrenals working properly. And fourth is fix your sleep. If you want to work more and work better than the average, then you also have to sleep better than the average. This is why when I start working with a client, my client gets one of these Aura Ring provided so that we can make sure that the REM sleep and deep sleep is properly, the sleep quality maintains on a high level. And the last question becomes how to recover from adrenal fatigue when I feel that my adrenals are exhausted. Well, you don't have to make a full holiday to recover from adrenal fatigue. It can be helpful, especially right here when you're in this combination of beautiful mountains and nature, but it's not necessary. There are a few hacks that I can give you to recover from adrenal fatigue as fast as possible. First is to take vitamin C, because vitamin C is a really important nutrient which can balance and regulate the cortisol production. Second is quit caffeine, or at least make days without caffeine so that your adrenals have at least a few days throughout the week to recover from the caffeine. I recommend at least 1 day throughout the week. Better would be 3 days completely without caffeine. And please don't get mad. I know at the beginning it's hard, but I have a third hack for you, which is called licorice. Licorice is an interesting supplement which can increase cortisol production, but without exhausting the adrenals. So take licorice with your breakfast every single morning, and this can also help replace or reduce your caffeine consumption. Fourth hack is to do a blood test. First thing what I do is when I start working with a client is that I order a nurse to the house to get some blood work. And based on this blood work, I can have a clear picture what is going on inside the body. Because in some cases, it's not stress or it's not caffeine consumption. Sometimes it can also be, for example, a lack of specific nutrients. And if I have a full blood count for my clients with all the parameters I need, then I can spot specific bottlenecks. And that's why it's so valuable to take a complete blood test before taking random supplements or looking for the needle in the haystack. If you want to learn more about blood tests, you will love this video right here. That's it for today, guys. See you soon.